all-out search is happening right now for a missing college student. Her birthday is tomorrow, and she mysteriously disappeared.
There's no reasonable explanation for her disappearance.
After 12 long years of waiting and hoping for that moment of closure, 12 years of heartbreak, 12 years of devoid and doubt, hoping that justice would one day be served, the family of Caitlin Markham can now embrace the solemnity of mind. It was indeed a tragic moment for Fairfield residents after the disappearance of a young 22-year-old Caitlin in August 2011. The neighborhood at the time set up personnel to search for Caitlin, but all to no avail. After years of searching, some identified skeletal remains that happened to be hers were found dumped in Indiana, not more than 30 miles from her residence. The story you are about to watch is an account of a real-life event with no spectrum of fiction in it. In this reality of life, you would be shocked to find out who the perpetrator data of this horrible incident is. It all happened in the summer of the year 2011, August. A bright young art student went missing, leaving her Fairfield Dorshire Drive residence without communicating with any family members. No hint of her whereabouts, no text message, no call. But it was registered that she had left without her car keys, dog, and all personal belongings, though she had her cell phone on her. On the morning of the supposed day of the disappearance, her then newly engaged fiancé, John Allen Carter, was the first to suspect that she had gone missing, and that was when he placed a call to 911.
Car is still there, the purse is still...
Okay, and you're out there now?
I'm heading out there now. I have been trying to get a hold of her, and I decided to go by her house to see if she was okay, and her car was still there, which is why I'm really freaking out.
After he could not find her anywhere, even at work, as she was supposed to resume at David's Bridal near Tri-County Mall, Cincinnati, Ohio. When John called the police, he said, "I know it's against the law to report a missing person before 24 hours, but my fiancée has gone missing, and I can't locate her anywhere." This was about 18 hours after he last spoke to her. In his report, he was fast to point out that the ongoing annual Fairfield Festival could have a connection with her disappearance.
And the Sacred Heart Festival is going on right up the street, and there's a lot of questionable people there.
John Carter, who was 22 years old, was able to converse with people of residence so they could mobilize a search operation for his fiancée. Over 100 families in the neighborhood, friends, supporters, and people of good heart joined the good cause of finding Caitlin, or perhaps finding clues that could be of help to the operation. It is already 2 days to her birthday, and Caitlin is still not found. It was reported that in the early hours of August 14th, Caitlin's cell phone was turned off at exactly 12:45 a.m., and the GPS device on her phone was also turned off. In an interview, Carter revealed that they had plans to celebrate her 23rd birthday and move to Colorado in November. "We've been talking about going to Colorado for days. If she was scared, she would have said something. When I arrived at her house, she had left without her car, handbag, or keys. My gut instinct is that she is alive and well," he continued. "I have to think she is still alive. I have to trust that I'll be holding her in my arms soon." Days went by, and days turned to weeks, and weeks to months with no word from Caitlin or her abductor. The case was becoming a dead end as time went by without any possible lead. Despite a $100,000 reward and the efforts of multiple police agencies, private detectives, television shows, and even a movie, Caitlin, who is so loved by so many and oftentimes described as a light and someone who is very warm and compassionate. According to her little sister Allie, she would always take care of me whenever I got home after school. My parents were not home. In an interview, she described her big sister to be caring. "She would always take care of me whenever I got home after school and our parents were at home." You never can tell exactly. Her family and loved ones were able to continue life without Caitlin. According to Dave Markham, Caitlin's father, he said, "I think about her constantly. Some anniversaries and holidays are really hard. There is really no rhyme or reason for when it hits me hard." In the spring of 2013, 2 years after Caitlin went missing, skeletal remains were found in Cedar Grove Industries in a remote wooded area. These remains were identified as Caitlin's and dumped just 30 minutes from her Fairfield residence. A year later, additional skeletal remains were discovered in the same location, and they were identified to be Caitlin's. After further investigation and examination, the Franklin County, Indiana coroner Wonderly said Markham's death was ruled as a homicide. An Indiana coroner has confirmed someone killed Caitlin. Expected this, and that would have been a little bit more upset had they said it was an accident. However, the exact cause of death could not be determined, and it still remains a mystery to everyone involved. After discovering Caitlin's skeletal remains, all residential search operations stopped, but the professional investigation was still in place. At the urging of Caitlin's father in 2015, Dave Markham pressed further for fresh eyes on the case. He was not going to fold back in futility. He persisted, and after months of a new investigation, the sheriff's detectives disclosed that there is a possible suspect in the case, but they do not possess enough information for a prosecution. This was already 4 years after her disappearance. Caitlin's story had already made waves, and in honor of Caitlin and means of creating awareness to show her spirit of resilience, Markham's case was featured on the syndicated TV show Crime Watch Daily. The show featured some extensive life investigation by a private investigator. A new investigator, Green, was paid to look into Caitlin's case by an anonymous individual who was interested in the case, and this brought to the limelight various possibilities that pointed to various suspects. Comparing Carter's report to the police on the call he made the night Caitlin was declared missing and the time frame of the call logs, the private investigator has pointed out that there were so many glitches that were not adding up, and this only raised more suspicions. The family's attorney, Tina Barrett, highlighted that Carter's call was not a call for help considering what happened, but it was a call to inform and also make suggestions for the police, which sounds suspicious. John Carter's call was a call to inform. There were no legal actions or strong clues pointing at a particular person, but the investigator still saw everyone as a potential suspect. On August 2016, the family and friends of Caitlin on her supposed 27th birthday gathered at a movie theater in Springdale, Ohio, to watch Taken Too Soon, a premiere documentary of her disappearance and death. Yo, Mary, holla back, it's Caitlin. Bye. This story explores the ongoing mystery surrounding the investigation, and the unanswered questions kept increasing, which spiked concerns in people, and so Markham's story was brought to the big screen. The awareness of evil lurking under the light did not end as other TV channels continued televising the Markham case. A Discovery ID channel show was anchored in 2020, captioned "Still a Mystery." The show featured all the stories that pertain to Markham's disappearance and death. This show lit up the heart of so many that were kept in the dark. There was renewed hope with new fresh information with the potential of leading to an arrest. One of the multiple people of interest included one Michael Strauss, who was convicted of the death of one 23-year-old Ellen Week at his Liberty, Ohio home. After further investigations, Michael was found to be a dead end in the case of Caitlin Markham. We believe one of the multiple leads turned out to be one of Caitlin's closest circle of friends, Jonathan Palmerton. He was arraigned on a perjury charge on Wednesday in Butler County in connection with the death of Caitlin Markham. According to the prosecutor's claim, 35-year-old Jonathan Palmerton had lied during an official proceeding in April 2022. The formal charge against Palmerton was officially sealed on February 17th when search warrants were served, and some others were interviewed extensively to further their investigation into Markham's death case. The search warrants were executed by investigators from the Mosey office and the Fairfield Police Department at Carter's former Fairfield residence, where his mother lives, and other residences of relatives of friends that were attached to the case. This search involved thorough digging up of yards for evidence. The pieces of evidence taken from their yards and homes led to the arrest of Palmerton at his place of work. Jonathan Palmerton was located in the kitchen from the prosecutor's office. Moser explained in his report how the arrest of Palmerton is the first public arrest on the Markham case after a very long, detailed investigation that has gone on for over a decade, even despite the involvement of multiple agencies, including the FBI. Look, manager hat? Looking for John. Jonathan Palmerton was located in the kitchen. This is to tell you how concerned and involved everybody is. The offender must have thought that he or she would make away with such a gruesome felony, but what lies at bay is more than you can imagine, Moser said. This is the first public stage in a lengthy, in-depth investigation. This search was not like McDonald's, where you receive fast food or results the same day. Palmerton is charged with lying under oath or affirmation and intentionally swearing to confirm the truth of a previously made false statement, where either assertion is substantial. He was accused of holding a strong connection with the investigation and testified before the grand jury and prosecutors at different hearings, but did not speak the truth. Although no further details on what was lied about or the discovery of the evidence were disclosed to the public, the reason remains unknown to us. An attorney who is in charge of defending Jonathan Palmerton, Ken Crean, has now entered a non-guilty plea on behalf of his clients. He told Journal News on Wednesday that he awaits the new evidence for the continuance in the case, as he is also left in the dark. Crean asked for a reasonable bond, claiming that Palmerton has been a long resident of Butler County. He is not a flight risk. He is a graduate of Fairfield High School and is gainfully employed, Crean said. He requires that job in order to provide for his 2 young kids. He has no criminal record. Crean further explained how Palmerton had voluntarily gone for interviews and has been cooperative since the incident occurred 12 years ago. Mr. Palmerton was interviewed voluntarily. John Dean wanted this investigation 12 years ago. He's always cooperated. Mr. Palmerton was interviewed voluntarily. John Dean wanted this investigation 12 years ago. He's always cooperated. Palmerton's bond was set at $50,000 by Judge Jennifer McHale. Fresh in response to Gamosa's request for a hefty bond, Gamosa said he has the feeling the case is moving forward with potentiality. He further emphasized the effectiveness of new evidence and the series of procedures that could make them valid. Last week's search was not like McDonald's, where you receive fast food and results the same day. Those are the items that were seized. There are examinations that have to be conducted that are being conducted. When those investigations are completed and analyses are done in writing, you can expect there will be more than you will hear from me. And anytime you have a case that has been gone what is considered to be cold and is starting to heat up, there is a feeling that we are getting to the end. Eventually, I will not confirm anything concerning the indictment until a later time. And it will be known to you what the words of the indictment mean at the appropriate time, and that's not now. This new light of hope has not only elevated the trust in the system, but also signifies that there is an end to evil. The people of Fairfield, and those who have one way or the other contributed and shown interest in the case of Caitlin Markham, are proud of the progress made so far. After the search warrants that led to the arrest of Palmerton were executed, the next person to be cuffed would shock you. According to an investigation, John Allen Carter, who is now 35 years old, was the last to hear from Caitlin the night before she was declared missing. On Wednesday, Carter was arrested for having a connection to the disappearance and death of Caitlin. John Carter, her fiancé at the time, has just been arrested. He's being charged with murder. He's being booked right now in the Butler County Jail. As of now, Carter has not gotten an attorney, and his mother has been silent since his arrest. According to the Butler County Prosecutor's Office to ABC News, Mr. Carter is charged with 2 counts of felony murder of Caitlin Markham. Carter was the last person to see Caitlin Markham alive before she disappeared in the summer of 2011. Markham, a 22-year-old college student from the Cincinnati suburb of Fairfield, was engaged to Carter when she went missing. Dave Markham's first words to Journal News after hearing news from Prosecutor Officer Gamosa on Wednesday was "Hallelujah, praise God," was the first word of relief. This is to tell you how long Dave has been waiting for the authorities to get to the roots, and it took a dozen years before they arrived at this stage of conclusion. Markham mentioned that after the arrest of Jonathan Palmerton, one of Caitlin's and Carter's mutual inner circle friends, he made further effort to meet with the investigators to pick up the cold case, as the truth cannot be too far. They gave me the impression that they were serious about it. That has transpired far faster than I anticipated, David said. 12 years is enough time to give up, but Caitlin's father chose to honor his daughter by pushing the case to find who the real devil was. Palmerton, 35, of Fairfield, was scheduled to be back in court this week, but that pre-trial hearing was scheduled for March, has been rescheduled to April 20th. He is free on a $50,000 bond set by Butler County Common Pleas Judge Jennifer McElfresh. Mr. Markham said he has had his suspicions about Carter since the beginning of the case. "We all suspected that he had something to do with it," he said. He suspected that John Carter had something to do with his daughter's death, but he managed to choose his use of words carefully so as not to cause any further calamities. "In the past, I chose my comments extremely carefully," David Markham told the Journal News. According to Dave Markham, he believed that his daughter may have been trying to get away from her relationship with Carter in 2011 before anything went out of hand. "Everyone is relieved, but this is coming to an end," he told WCPO. "I think a lot of people, including myself, have been anticipating and waiting for this for 12 years. According to Butler County Jail information, Carter was arrested at 4:10 p.m. on Wednesday, a month after his friend Jonathan Palmerton was indicted for perjury. Carter is charged with 2 counts of murder under 2 different provisions of the statute, according to County Prosecutor Michael Gamosa. The prosecution does not accuse Carter of being responsible for 2 deaths. 1 count is for suspected willful killing, and the other is for allegedly murdering a person while committing a felony, according to the March 13th grand jury indictment, which was unsealed Thursday. From the desk of Jonathan Palmerton's attorney, Cryhan said, "I had no idea until I got that Carter had been arrested." From Journal News, "I was able to meet with Mr. Gamosa because of his open-door policy. Certainly, I cannot comment on anything we have discussed," Cryhan stated. Mr. Palmerton is not being charged with murder, merely perjury. "I'm not sure what the state is doing since everything appears to be kind of hush-hush at this time," Fraham added. "I will remain steadfast and patiently await discovery." Clearly, Mr. Gamo's office obtained some material in the case that no one is aware of at this point. Mr. Cryhan is not the only one waiting for the new discoveries. The residents of Fairfield and interested followers worldwide, including us, are looking forward to the icebreaker that would clear out doubts and put our minds at rest. Caitlin's father did not refrain from speaking out about how long it took the authorities and private investigators to come this far. "This has been a long time coming. A long time," Dave said. "This is what irritates me about the whole issue. Now we believe John Carter and maybe Palmerton have been enjoying their lives for the past 12 years, while a smart, vivacious woman has not, according to Dave Markham. And whoever has spent the last 12 years of their existence believing that they have gotten away with murder. Caitlin, in my opinion, has far more promise than either of the 2 people jailed. Following up on this case, we understand that no parent deserves to wait this long for justice to be served. This case has gone over the front desk of different county officers for 12 years, while the perpetrator lived 12 long, comfortable years without conscience and regret. Who knows who could have been the next victim? What and how strong are the latest discoveries?" While we wait for further reports, Dave Markham was able to reach out to the public with an appreciation message. "This is to tell you that this victory is not just for the Markhams alone. We all share from this message and appreciate all efforts made to bring justice to light. Justice can only be delayed, but can never be denied. And I've always said, in God's time I will know, and this might be God's time.